Hey guys! Welcome to this week's review of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 2, Part 3 Reunion! The last episode. Finally on time, sort of. Okay, let's get into it. So, it starts off where it did last week with Lisa trying to apologize for the 500th time to Meredith, but yeah, there's nothing. I mean, you can say sorry. It doesn't hurt to say sorry, but there's nothing really you can do or say in that moment. I think Meredith is just gonna need some time to forgive you after what you did. To be honest, if it was me, I would never forgive you. I mean, okay, fine. We are on a show together, so I would milk it for a little while. But at some point, I would understand we would have to move forward. But even if we move forward and we're friendly with each other, I would just never trust you again. Like, that's just unforgivable at that point. I would always just be giving you the side eye. So, Lisa, I'm sorry. You have to deal with the consequences of your outbursts, and maybe next time this will help her to reflect and to think before she opens her mouth, because sometimes I do feel like she gets in a certain space and she gets overwhelmed and she just has word vomit and she doesn't know how to stop. Hopefully this moment will help her to recognize that maybe she needs to work on that, because you don't want to say something that you're going to regret out of anger, because in that one moment you've now lost. I don't know if Meredith was a good friend, but you've lost a friend when it really didn't need to be like that. And looking back at the reasons why you were so upset, no offense, but they were kind of stupid. They weren't worth that. They really weren't. So, I mean, I don't blame Meredith for being. I mean, Meredith is being very gracious. Very, very gracious. I'm just saying. So they come back. The husbands come back as well to the stage. Well, they don't come back, they come to the stage. And Andy starts off with Whitney and her husband, who I don't know his name. But they talk about Whitney spending all their savings to start her beauty line. And it seems like, her husband said we didn't spend all our savings, just a good chunk of it. Whitney also says that her beauty line is doing well and she's making a profit, and she's able to kind of put the money back into their savings. So that's great. I'm happy for Whitney. I mean, she's on a national television show. I see why not for her products to sell well or do well. Um, Heather is a good cousin slash friend, and she has her products in her beauty lab. So I feel like, that's good business. So it's working out for Whitney. Kudos to her. And I definitely think she'll be coming back next season. I haven't really been following up with the ratings for Salt Lake City, but I assume it's not so bad. I assume they're getting a third season. Definitely, especially to see how this Jen situation plays out. Her trial is supposed to be starting, the 22nd of this month? So, depending on how everything plays out, I mean, I'll be here for the next season. If she's not in jail. Hopefully, she's not in jail because she's innocent. Hopefully. But that would be interesting, right? So, yeah, and then is Mary coming back? I don't think Mary should come back. I said what I said. I'm gonna miss Mary. She's entertaining, but yeah, I don't think she needs to come back. She has too much crap she has to deal with. Hopefully they can find someone. I don't know if they can ever find someone like Mary, but hopefully they'll find somebody, okay? um Moving on. Andy asked Meredith's husband. Well, I really need to learn people's name. What's his Seth? I know his name, Seth. Andy asked Seth about what Lisa said about his wife being a whore and sleeping with half of New York. Of course, he gave a very PC answer. Obviously, he's not gonna cuss Lisa out or anything. I think he's still good with John, so he kind of left it open ended. You know what I mean? But he's probably not too happy about it. And once again, yeah, Lisa did apologize, but it's too late. And then we move on to Dewey and what's her name? Jenny. I don't like Dewey at all. I'm just not. I'm not here for his explanation regarding the sister wives. I did appreciate Andy asking him, given the fact that you are a doctor, well, a chiropractor, but still a doctor. You're a doctor. Did you stop to think that your wife having all these miscarriages, like what that is doing to her body, what is it doing to her emotionally, spiritually? That must be really hard for her. Like, how can you keep pushing her to have children, right? And that was a good question, but Jenny, she cuts him off. I don't even think he really answered that. And then his explanation with the sister wife thing is like, well, we're all business people here and we want to see results, and I just wanted a baby so bad that I'm gonna get a new wife. Like, you can't adopt, you can't get a surrogate. It seems like they do somewhat well for themselves financially, so they should be able to afford a surrogate. Or I don't see why not. Like, why wouldn't they be able to adopt? Because, like I said, they seem to be doing financially well. Their kids seem well adjusted. So there's just so many other options if you want more kids. I don't know why you would then go to the extreme of just getting a whole nother wife. That goes beyond just wanting another child, because if you just wanted a child, you could get a surrogate. You want a whole wife. Okay, like, I don't know. His explanation about I'm a businessman and I like to see results. No. That's a load of crap. I'm not buying it. Hopefully that was some bullshit for reality television, because if I was Jenny, I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So let me not judge. But they're off the show anyways, and good riddance, because I'm not here for that. I am happy to hear that he is going to therapy, and I like their little PSA moment of everybody go to therapy because therapy is great, and it is, so kudos to that guy, but I don't like him. And oh yes, Seth. I don't like Seth and his jokes. I'm sorry. I don't think they're funny. I think they're kind of creepy. I, you know, like Whitney handled that whole joke about her cleavage every 5 seconds. Like, she handled that pretty well and with a sense of humor. Okay, but like, he needs to calm down with that. Because I don't know. But not my husband. If Meredith, I don't know, Meredith always laughs at her jokes, but it's more like a ha 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 ha. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like she's genuinely laughing at him. I don't know. I don't find him too funny. I find him creepy, creepy, creepy. But they're a beautiful couple. Let's be positive. They're a beautiful couple. It's their relationship. If she loves it, I like it. Or how does it go? If she likes it, I love it. Okay? Let's move on. So it's Sharif's turn in the hot seat, right? And Andy starts it off with an interesting question from the fans, quote unquote. And it went something like this: why is there this double standard? Because with Erica Girardi, everybody thought that she was guilty by association. And no one really believed her when she was like, I didn't know what was going on. So, Sharif, did you know what was going on? And of course, Sharif is not going to be like, oh, yes, my wife's a criminal. Obviously, he's going to have her back. And you know what? Sharif, kudos to you. Kudos to you. He really had Jen's back. They really were a united front. I really do. I like their relationship. I do. Now, I do think Coach is putting on a bit. He's putting on a front. I do feel that. But whatever. If it's bullshit, it's bullshit. I'm buying it. I am. I'm sorry. I'm buying it. It just me like whenever he comes around, he makes Jen just a little bit more likable. Just a little bit. The main reason I want her to be innocent is not really for Jen's sake, but for the sake of her husband and the sake of her children. And the sake of her too, okay? Because when Andy was like, "You could face 50 years in jail." I was like, "Damn. I don't wish that on anybody." So, if you did what you did, unfortunately, you gotta do what you do. You gotta serve what you gotta serve, okay? So if it's 50 years, it's 50 years. Ouch. You must have really did some dirt. I don't want to laugh at that, but you must have really did some dirt for 50 years. So, ugh. I really hope she's innocent because I don't think we've had any other housewife that has spent that much time in jail. Like Teresa, what? She spent like a year, and that was like shocking. Like, oh my gosh, a year in jail. Like, that was crazy. Maybe she even spent two. Like, that's an incredible amount of time. But 50 years? That is basically your whole life. Because what? Jen is 40. She's in her 40s, I'm assuming. So 40 plus 50, that's 90. That's 90 years old. And it's like, even if you were to live that long and get out, like, you're 90. Damn. That's like 2052. Like, damn. That's, is it 2052? What kind of math is that? Is it 27, 20? Don't get me to do math. It's just a long ass time. I hope she's innocent. Wow. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And Jen has definitely calmed down a lot since her first season. And by the end of this season, I do like her a little bit more. And I like the calmer Jen. And if she can remain this calm, I do think she's good for the show. So is it selfish of me to say I don't want her to go to jail because I want her to come back for next season? I mean, that's incredibly insensitive, but I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of true. I mean, without Mary, I mean, we definitely need Jen without Mary. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So yeah, okay. Moving on. So, yes, Andy asked her, okay, so if you guys remember, right, the day that she got arrested, before they were supposed to go on this trip, she got a call, right, from Coach Shaw or his assistant saying he's in the hospital. Now, we all thought, including myself, that that was all a lie. That was just a cover. That basically she got a call like, "Look, bitch, the police are coming. Run! Don't get arrested on camera." Sorry, let me calm down. Right? Like, that's what we thought it was. I mean, at least I did. Come to find out that this story is actually true, that Coach Shaw was really in the hospital for rectal bleeding. Not to minimize that. That is serious. That could be a whole lot of mess, right? But we didn't think he was actually in the hospital. Now, do I believe it? I don't know. At the end of the day, I just think if she was lying, I just thought at the time that's a pretty messed up thing to lie about. Like, you could say, oh, like you could have said he's sick or there's some family emergency and not specify, right? Like, you could have said anything else. But to say that your husband's in the hospital, that's a little too specific. And I feel like that's kind of jinxing your husband's life. So if it's true that he was actually in the hospital, I guess that makes a little bit more sense, and I do look at her differently. And her logic was like, if the police were really coming for me, why did I take my time? Like, I would have been rushing out of there. And it was true because she did take the time to like explain to Heather, and then she did go on the bus and explain to everybody else what was going on. So if she really knew that the police were coming for her, like I would have dashed my mic on the ground and ran. Just I know I'm going to get arrested. I just don't want to get arrested on camera. You know what I mean? So for her to kind of take her time, I guess that does lend kind of credibility to the story that Sharif was really in the hospital. I mean, but if your husband is in the hospital, you still wouldn't be taking your time either, right? But it seemed like it wasn't an emergency so much as like he wasn't dying from that, but like you don't know, like it can be colon cancer, like it could be so many different things that are just as serious. It's just that like it's not an emergency, like you need to get there right now, but like if you are about to find out bad news, like of course you're going to want your spouse there to support you, through it. I mean, Andy didn't ask like how did everything turn out, was he feeling better? Like I don't know. Do you guys believe it? I'm gonna believe it, but I feel like it's one of those things where yes, he was in the hospital, but he wasn't in the hospital on that day, So it's like it's kind of a truth, but not a complete truth, you know. So at the end of the day, we're really not going to know what it is. But the way he was talking, I don't know, in my spirit, it felt like he was leaving something out. Like I said, I do like him and I like them together, but I do feel like he does put on airs a lot. Like he's giving you a face for the camera, so you can only take what he says lightly. Obviously, he's not he and he was a lawyer. We found out he was a lawyer. So in the past, so given that information, I feel like he knows what words to choose. So you're not going to get him tripped up. So like, and it's funny because they're kind of like the polar opposites. Jen is like the person that kind of just falls off the handle and says whatever she wants and has outbursts, and like Coach Shaw is more measured and calculated with his words, and I think that's exactly what she needs right now. That's exactly what she needs right now. So kudos to them. It's funny though when Andy asked him like, "So, what does your wife do?" And I'm sitting here, I'm waiting for an explanation because I still don't know what she does. And he says, "Oh, she's very into fashion." Huh? She's into fashion now? What? When did that I mean, I know she's into fashion, but her work is related to fashion? How? Houseway. Like, I don't remember that part. I don't remember. Okay. And then he was like, "Oh, and before she's been working for how long? She used to do something, but I can't say what it is because of the court case." I think that's a load of shit. I'm sorry. Like what? I don't know. At the end of the day, I've never been charged with the crime. Knock on wood. Oh my gosh, there's no wood next by, no wood nearby me. Ah. But yeah, I never been charged for a crime. Don't plan on being. So like, I don't know the process of what you can say or what you can say. But like, I don't understand why it would be so controversial or not a good idea, or it would be banned for or whatever for you to say what your wife does for a living, like her career. Like I don't understand why you can't. Like if your wife's a teacher, oh, she's a teacher, she's a doctor, she's a lawyer, she's a coach, she works at Starbucks. I don't know. Like I don't understand why you can't just explain it in layman terms. And just the very fact that you can't tell us, the very fact that it's going to be some complicated explanation, it isn't a one word answer. It gives me pause. I'm not gonna lie. And listen, there's lots of different jobs out there in the world. I understand that. But like when you can't clearly describe what someone does in one sentence, I'm gonna listen, I'm going to give them a bit of grace and I'm going to give you a sentence. Usually it's a couple of words to state someone's career. But fine, I'm going to give you a sentence. The fact that you can't spell it out in a sentence is just, it's giving sketchy. I'm sorry. It's giving a little sketchy. I hope she's innocent, but the whole thing is giving sketchy at the end of the day. Um Finally, though, moving on. Finally, like Whitney gets called out. I feel like Heather needs to be called out as well. I'm kind of annoyed with this reunion that they're not getting the smoke that I think they should be getting. I mean, if Mary was there. Okay, let me stop. But I did like in this moment that Jen kind of called Whitney out. Like, when I got arrested, you were on the bus speculating about my business and what I do, and you were acting like you knew something, right? And then, of course, Whitney just backs down and be like, I'm sorry, you're right. You're right, I'm sorry. I was like, whatever. Whatever, Whitney. You know what I mean? And Jen just takes it because, her husband's there, so I feel like she's not going to go in as much as she can. So she just lets it go, which is fine. Um, Andy also asks Coach Shaw about Lisa and Lisa not calling and blah, 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 blah. Was Lisa wrong for not calling right away? Listen, I need to hear that argument. Because in normal circumstances, I would say, okay, you had a fight with your friend. But if the next day you find out that your friend has been arrested or your friend is in the hospital or your friend is going through something, you will put aside petty differences and be there for them in the moment, right? But I don't know. I've seen Jen Shaw's outburst, and you know what? I've seen Lisa's outburst, and I know how they can get. So it depends on what that phone call was and what was said to one another. You know what I mean? So I don't really entirely blame Lisa. I really don't. And of course, Jen Shaw is there holding Heather's hand because, Heather's such a great friend. I know I'm such a hater. I'm such a hater, but it's like I feel like Heather is like. she's- Maybe she's a good friend, but she's a little two faced, but aren't we all? Fine, fine. Let me lay off Heather. I'm too hard on her. So, Lisa, during the break, of course, Lisa's infamous for having a scene during the break. Lisa goes over to Heather and Whitney, and she's all buddy buddy, hugging up on them, and they're making up. And is it just me? But a part of me, I don't know, a part of me feels like the reason why she's kind of hugging on Heather is because she now realized that, oops, I'm alone in this group. I've now kind of isolated myself from Meredith. I messed that situation up. So if I want to be on this show, I need to have some friends. So let me go over here and make it up with Heather and Whitney. I don't know. It could be genuine, but I feel like part of the motivation for doing that is because she realizes that she has no friends in the group besides Jenny, and we know that Jenny ain't coming back. So she's got to kiss ass. No, I hope it's genuine. I roll, yeah. Moving on. And then Whitney's so annoying. Oh, you're not gonna hug me, Lisa? Lisa, what about me? You're not gonna hug me? You're not gonna hug me? They're so weird, especially Whitney. It's like they hate Lisa, but at the same time, they like love Lisa. They're obsessed with her. They really want to be friends with her. And I think that's just what it is, Lisa, for whatever reason, shunned them, put them down, and now they're just like biting for her approval. It's weird. It's weird. But you know what? It makes good television. And that's what makes them a good cast. Because, like I've said before, we don't want to watch people fighting, like beefing, having the same fight forever. We would like to see people kind of move on and get over it so that they can get into a fight again, you know? So they're playing the game, they're playing it well. So kudos to the ladies. Kudos. So, moving on, now it's Jen Shaw versus everybody, pretty much, right? Um, so let's just go down the line. Jen versus Whitney. Like I said, I was kind of really annoyed this reunion because I definitely feel like Whitney and Heather could have been called out just a little bit more. I felt like they stirred a lot of shit, but then Lisa got a lot of the blame for it. And I'm not saying that like Lisa is shady. Lisa is a shady ass character. This is what I've learned. I still like her though. But it seems like Lisa is definitely the scapegoat, the scapegoat in the group, which is, listen, I'm here for people getting what they deserve, but when it's like a pile on and other people are getting like ignored, it's kind of annoying. And Whitney is definitely one of them. So I'm here for any moment where Whitney gets called out. And yeah, I guess what was Jen mad at? I guess Whitney went on Watch What Happens Live and she said some stuff. And oh yes, let me say this. Okay, when I saw that scene when the police were coming to arrest Jen and they went to her house and like they had her sons and her, I believe her nephew, and they were being like escorted out the house with their hands on their head and all that. I mean, like that's just very unnecessary. I know like someone comment down below on one of my other videos saying that's standard procedure, that's what they do. And I get that, but still, especially when children are involved, that's like very traumatizing. It's not a violent crime that Jen Shaw committed. So I just feel like that's the last straw. Like, if you've been going all over the place looking for her and she's invading you, then if it comes to that where you need to go to her house with the SWAT team and all that jazz, if that's what you have to do, okay. But I don't think it needed to go there. I really don't. I don't think Jen would have fled. I don't think Jen is violent. I mean, let me take I mean, I can't say I don't think Jen is violent. I'm gonna be real, but I don't think Jen would try to beat up police officers or run. You know what I mean? So I know it's standard procedure, but I don't think it deserved all that. Especially when you're involving children, it's not fair. It has nothing to do with them. That is very traumatizing. And like Jen said, what if they came at the middle of the night? What if you were in the middle of a nap and you're sleeping and all of a sudden police are busting into your house, like who knows how you would react, who knows how things would go, especially um the story of Breonna Taylor. We all heard that, where she's in her bed sleeping in the middle of the night and then police bust in and end up killing her and they weren't even looking for her. So we hear horror stories like that. So when I see that image in that video, it is very upsetting and I understand why she is so upset. So let me say that and put a pin on it. No ifs, ands, or buts. But in a separate topic, her kind of saying that the reason why Whitney was questioning her money and how she spends her money, her saying, "Oh, it's because I'm Asian and my husband's black. That's why you can't believe we have all this money." Blah, blah, blah. Now, are there people out there that are prejudiced who would think that sort of thing, like, "Oh, because you're black, we, I don't know, we're going to assume you don't have money, right? Oh, because you're Asian, we're going to assume you don't have money." Are there people that are like that? Sure, right? Sure. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I don't think that's the situation with Jen. I don't, because look, let's just be real. You're bragging about spending what, $50,000 a month? That's crazy. Um, you're saying you threw a party for Meredith the first season and you're bragging how it cost you what, $80,000? Like that's crazy. That's an excessive amount of money. And when we're asking you what you do, you're not giving us a clear answer. Your husband, he's a coach, and yes, he's a coach for a college team. I'm pretty sure he makes good money. No one's sitting here thinking that, Coach Shaw is getting minimum wage. Like, I'm thinking, I mean, I don't know how much he's getting, but he should be getting at least six figures, maybe 500K a year. Like, I don't know what his salary is, but he's making decent money, right? Like, no one's thinking that they're broke. It's just that the amount of money that she's spending is kind of is disproportionate to the jobs that they have and the money you think they would be raking in from those jobs. Like, it's just, it looks sketchy. I'm sorry, it does. And it's not because you're Asian or because your husband's black. It's just because it's just sketchy. It is what it is. Anybody else on the couch, we would be giving them the side eye, like, how can you afford this? This doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? Especially someone that's like bragging about it, like, we spend this much and we do this much. I mean, like, keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? Why you if you don't want people to have an opinion about your spending habits, it just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. I still don't know what she does. I mean, they've tried to explain it for like 2 seasons now. I think they try to explain what she did 3 times during the third part of this reunion, and I still don't understand. And I think that's my own limitation, my own limited understanding on what did they say, data monetization. You know what? I think I need to Google that. Maybe I need to learn more about that for myself here. But it's like, okay, I get it. I understand. Okay, if you sign up for things, that's why I don't like to give my email out. When you go to the store, like, can we get your email, please? It's like, no. Can I just buy my item and go? Why do you need my email? Right? So I guess when you sign up for stuff on sites, or you give your email or whatever, they sell the information to other companies that then try to advertise their products to for sorry, they try to advertise their products to you, or I don't know, and then I don't even get what the crime is, and maybe I need to go. I'm pretty sure probably Tisa Tells covered the whole legal aspects. I need to watch those videos. I don't know. I haven't really been too interested in housewife news outside of the shows. But now, well, her case is supposed to be what, March 22nd? So there probably be news out when, the case gets started. And then I guess we'll all get a better understanding of what's going on. Because I guess basically what she stole from older people. She got their information, sold it to companies who then kind of frauded the older people or disavent. Like, at the end of the day, whatever. I'm sorry, it's a mess. I'm sorry. I don't know the details. Comment down below if you know. Can you explain everything to me in layman's terms? I'm sorry, I'm a bit slow. But what was my point? Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, so I feel like sometimes Jen, and it's not the first time, she throws out the kind of racism thing to deflect from what's really going on. And it's like, no, no. Like, Whitney's questioning your money not because you're Asian, okay? She's questioning your money because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It just doesn't. It didn't from the beginning, and it doesn't now. I mean, back then we just thought you were lying and you were full of crap, because we all know that she rented, what was it? The chalet or whatever she called it, Shaw Chalet or Chalet Shaw. So we thought, like, I thought she was just faking it to make it, but hopefully it's legit. Hopefully it's legit. Because 50 years is a long ass time. So yeah, she confronts Whitney. And the thing about Whitney, she's kind of annoying to me, as you guys could tell. I don't know, she just talks all this crap behind their backs, like behind Jen's back, but then when she gets to her face, it's like, she tries to minimize what she does. And it's like, oh, I was just saying this. Oh, I was just. And it's like, no, you were being shady. Just own it. Just own it. You were being shady, and it's okay. But stand by it. And on the other hand, like in Whitney's defense, I really don't understand why Jen is getting so upset or why Jen expects such level of loyalty from Whitney when last season you threatened to drown her in a lake, right? And at that point, you were just like kind of repairing your friendship with her. And I mean, the beginning of the season was a while ago, but I don't really remember Jen really going out of her way to make amends to Whitney and to. She may have apologized, I'm pretty sure she did, but it didn't really seem like Jen really valued Whitney's friendship or really went out of her way to show her that she was sorry or whatever. So for her to expect Whitney to show her this level of loyalty is kind of ridiculous. It's clear that they're not friends like that. The only reason why Whitney is being tolerant of her and vice versa is because of Heather, to be honest. So I just feel like Jen just has unrealistic expectations of people, and she doesn't give out she doesn't treat people the way she wants to be treated, and it's just very unfair. And I do like that Heather kind of called her out, like, you've said some terrible things, so for you to get mad at Whitney or to get so upset at Whitney for the things that she says is kind of hypocritical. Heather is right. Heather is right about that. And Jen also said to Heather, let's move on to Heather, that like she doesn't like when Heather says makes certain comments. I think earlier in the reunion, Heather was like, I stood by Jen, even though it's extremely difficult because she's a terrible person. Okay, she didn't say that, but she said something like that. And like Jen was like, when you say stuff like that, it hurts my feelings. Why can't you just be my friend? Why can't you just support me? And like Heather's attitude is kind of like, you've said some terrible things about me. You called me Shrek. Like you talked so much crap. So if I rib on you here and there, like, come on, you can't fall apart. You really can't. And I agree with Heather, but I don't know. Like, Heather, you're Jen's friend. You know how she is. So, like, I guess she signs up for it. And I guess you could give Jen a bit of grace. Because I guess the first season, she lost her father. The second season, she may be going to jail. So, maybe we're not seeing the real Jen. We're seeing an emotionally heightened Jen. But still, I don't know. You can't treat people however way you want to treat them and then get mad when they respond to you or when they're not so nice. It's just, it is what it is with that. But I do feel like all the ladies were kind of being fake with Jen because when she wasn't there, they were all kind of done with her. That's the vibe I kind of got. And then when she came around, it's like their tune completely changed. Meredith, let's move on to Meredith and Jen. I was kind of annoyed with Meredith because listen, during that scene when Meredith found out that Jen got arrested and they were all around the table, like Meredith was like, "Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, look how she moves. I mean, I kind of saw it coming." But then during the reunion, she was like, "I didn't say she was guilty. I mean, you didn't say she was guilty, but you kind of heavily implied that she was." I'm not saying you should sit on the couch and say she's guilty now, but like, don't act like you were impartial. Because you really weren't at that point, you know? And then, speaking about Meredith, this whole private investigator nonsense, basically, someone was sending messages to Heather and Meredith, and I guess Meredith's children, and the private investigator thought that it might be Jen. And Jen was like, "Well, I get messages too. Do I go around, do I hire a private investigator? Do I go around accusing you guys like it could be anybody?" And really and truly, it could be anybody, cuz like, listen, there are hackers out there. They're very talented. They can figure it out. You know, it doesn't have to be somebody that has both, that knows both Heather's number and Meredith's number. So it has to be somebody within their circle. No, like, if someone wants to get to you, they could, if a hacker wants to get to you, they can get to you. They can figure it out. It really could be anybody. Do I think it's Jen? I don't know. Like, Jen is a very sketchy character, 100%, but I just don't. I mean, what would be the point? Why would she do that? Like, that's a little bit too unhinged, even for Jen. Like, I don't see her sending random poems of roses are no, roses are red, violets are blue. I played you. Like, what? Like, I don't really, or you are played, whatever Heather said. Like, I don't see Jen being that corny. Like, what would be the point? I don't think it was her, to be absolutely fair. Now, the private investigator did think it was her. Listen, am I going to trust this random private investigator's viewpoint on the investigation? Listen, I don't know. If it did turn out to be her, would I be surprised? I would be mildly shocked, but I leave room for it to be possibly her, but I just don't see her doing that. I really don't. I really don't. So I do get Jen's kind of frustration of like, that's crazy for you to assume that I would do something like this. But then again, I need to see those messages and what they were. um, One thing about Jen, when Jen was saying, "Well, I got emails too," and she was like, one of the emails called my sons the N word, and I believe Jen actually said the N word with the ER, and I don't know, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I know she was just recalling what the email said, but I don't know. I didn't like that. You could say the N word, Jen. You could say the N word. And she said it so easy, so quick. You know, she didn't stutter. She didn't be like, "Oops, sorry." But like, that's what the email said. Nothing. She said it just like that, and that rubs me the wrong way, Jen. And rubs me the wrong way. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Lisa and Jen. Oh my gosh, Lisa and Jen. Poor Lisa at this point. So they talk about Lisa calling all her lawyers, and Lisa was dead ass wrong for that. I don't know why she did that. Obviously, Lisa was fishing for information, and that's what Lisa does. That's what Lisa does. She calls a bunch of people, she gets the tea about the other ladies from the other people, and she brings it to the group. That's what she does, and that's hella shady. Hella shady. I don't have too much to say on that one. Um yeah, I mean, Jen, I don't know. Jen is looking hella shady. They're all shady. All of them are shady. Okay. So I probably missed a lot, but I think this review has gone on long enough. Overall, this was a pretty good season, even though I took a bit of a break. But coming back and watching all the episodes, I was thoroughly entertained. I definitely think Salt Lake deserves a third season. I really do. Um, I'm hoping Jen Shaw is innocent so she can come back because the cast needs her. So, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought of the season. Did you enjoy it? Does it deserve a season 3? Who's your favorite? Who's your least favorite? Yeah, that's everything, guys. See ya.